What's up, everyone? Kevin Allen here, aka the Geek from DFS Army, and I'm sitting here with John Statsational Alessia, DFS player extraordinaire, top 20 in the world, sports better extraordinaire, a money-making machine, representing Sharp app. And we're going to take a look at the NFL Week 15 slate. We're looking at Saturday. We're going to look at Sunday. We're going to look at all the games from a DFS and betting perspective. We'll give you the bets. We'll give you the DFS plays. We're going to give you all that. What's going on, John? How's it going?
It's going well. It's going well, man. Had a little illness on Monday, but I'm getting over it now.
There is flu going around, but man, I got to tell you, John, that illness did not slow you down. I've been following the top props over on Sharp app, and your top props article is crushing. At this point, what was it? 34 and 13 on prop plays.
That's since November 22nd. So it's been quite the run. We're up, God, what is it? 38. Oh, it's almost 39 units. 35 units on the season, 147 units since we started the article back on March 1st. So, I mean, it's just been ridiculous. I'm going to start documenting it. Actually, I'm going to start putting a video together where I'm going to show you guys just like how to use money management. Like, even if you're starting as a $10 bettor, on how you can increase your bank. You know, obviously if the system is winning, and we've done this for about, we're at 1,050 bets or something like that. So, you know, I gave out all the statistics over in our Discord. If you're not part of the Sharp app, and at a minimum inside of our Discord, you're definitely missing out. But I gave all the stats on that, how many unders we take, how we're doing in each individual statistic. So yeah, it's been like 1,050 bets, which is plenty. We're close to 60% hitting on all those bets. I think it's 59 something overall at a minus 118 average. So I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So that is the place to be looking. Props, especially outside of the NFL, NBA, NHL. I haven't even tackled, or me personally hasn't tackled the NHL props yet, but I've been getting requests to do it, and I'm gonna have to start looking at that. But these markets that aren't as liquid, they're beatable, you know, and so that's what you guys have to come into the Sharp app, download it, and then head from the app. You can head into our Discord and see what we got going on with the props every day. But yeah, it's everyone's just going crazy over them. And your bets yourself on the NBA have been ridiculous.
I have been crushing it over there as well. So yeah, guys, here's the I opened up Sharp.app on screen. So the website, which is a sort of a light version of what you get on the app itself, but you can here's John's article, NBA top props every day. Click on this, you'll get a bunch of props.
So that one won yesterday. So
there we go.
So we're at 30. Yeah, so he had 3 Jordan Poole 3 assists yesterday. So that one won. I don't have today's article up there yet. So as soon as we're done on this podcast, I'll have all those plays up for the guys as well.
Yeah, right here. You just took the under on Jordan Poole. The prop was 4.5. We had projected at 3.97. There was value in the under. You had a 12% edge on the play, and if you played it, you won last night. And that's kind of how it goes. And of course, you did mention my betting. So I'm going to show my record, been crushing it. So everybody who's tailing me on the Sharp app has been absolutely smoking. I am up 19.38 tracked units. This is the tracker, guys. I'm not able to change it. We can't mess with this. Everybody who's on the Sharp app can see, if you're a pro subscriber, you can see my bets. 42 and 28 over the last 30, and it gets better if I expand it out. But a lot of this has been just the AI model, the SharpNet model that we have going on in the app itself. I don't really do all that much. I just follow the model plays, and it's been spectacular. So get in there, make sure you download Sharp app. And if you are a DFS Army subscriber and you go to sharp.app and you want to check this out a month free, promo code ARMY gets you $30 off, which is the price of Pro for a month. So make sure to check this out.
You're actually the ideal Sharp app subscriber.
Like, you're saying the guy because I don't watch NBA games. I just bet on them.
Well, that's it. I mean, you like the action, but you're not the guy who's going to sit there and watch 5 NBA games tonight, right? You like the action, and it takes you a few minutes. You kind of use the app and come up with your picks, and the results speak for themselves. So I mean, that's the ideal subscriber.
It's funny. It's that you take it there. The model plays. There are certain little things I look for in the betting model that then if it's a play, it's a play. I mean, last night's play on the Jazz, I played it big because the model loved the Jazz as a -9 favorite, and they were a +2. They were a +2 underdog in the game. Now, people laughed at you. You said on when you put out your video, kind of talking about that, they're like, "Oh yeah, -9. Your stupid model sucks." What did they win by? They won by like 14. So they won. I actually think they won by 20. So they were an underdog. The Sharp app had them. The model had them as a -9 favorite. Everybody's like, "That's ridiculous. A +2 can't be -9." And then they win by 20. This is what I'm saying. The model that the Sharp app has for NBA is so spectacular. I just see it and I play the side that is very, very obvious, and it wins 60% of the time, 65. Like, the win rate is really good. There's nothing like it out there. It makes it easy to bet. And like I said, eventually people are going to discover this, and we're going to have to jack up the price to like $100 or $200, $300 a month, whatever. But for now, get in there. We never change price on people that have a subscription. All right. Enough about that. It's time to talk a little DFS, a little fantasy football, a little NFL betting, all of that stuff. And we're going to start with the Saturday slate. It's a 3-gamer. I love a 3-gamer, John. There's certain techniques to it, but you look at the entirety of a 3-game slate for DFS purposes, just in a portfolio sense. Who are the quarterbacks available? Do I need to worry about some of those quarterbacks? Who can I fade? Who can I not fade? Who's relevant on the slate? So we've got the 3-gamer, and I want to kind of separate that and talk about it at its own thing, and then we'll talk about the Sunday games as the main slate. So jumping right into it, first one on the docket, Colts at Vikings. Vikings are 4-point home favorites in this one. Coming off that loss, we predicted it. We picked, I bet the Lions last week was one of the wins. I had one of my best betting weeks ever in NFL last week, and we're originating those bets, but it was an easy pick. Now you got the Colts coming in to Minnesota as 4-point road underdogs. The game totals are rather high, 48.5. I'm a little surprised, but at the same time, I guess it makes some sense, John, because Vikings defense is just epically bad. I'll bring up here the defensive numbers on your points against sheet here, and you could see that the Vikings are allowing league worst 7 points above mean expectation. Actually, not league worst. Tennessee's got them beat, but they're right there with the Titans as the worst team in the league in terms of allowing fantasy points to opposing wide receivers, John. That means Michael Pittman. That means potentially even Matt Ryan is relevant. Certainly Alec Pierce, and I think Paris Campbell will be relevant as well. This is I think the Colts offense is in a good spot. So for me, it's an interesting spread. What do you say, John?
Well, I'll tell you the info that we're getting from the sports book, and we get that Sharp Report article that Anthony produces for us. He was saying, then the info that we got was that the game was being bet to the over, and that was when it was at 46. So that's going to give you some idea as to why that line moved higher up to where it is now. So the sharp money is 10. That's one thing that I use the Sharp app for, is I want to see where the sharp money's coming in on that Sharp Report, and then does the line move in conjunction with that? So if it does, okay, fine. Then that's probably a pretty good play. And then the only problem there is we may have lost value. But when I see a sharp play come in and yet the line either stays stagnant or moves against it, then that usually means that the sharp money is incorrect. That actually happened with the Utah game last night, where there was sharp money on the other side of that game. Our model agreed with Utah, right? The sharp money came on New Orleans, and the line was moving towards Utah. So everything kind of filtered that way. So that's how I use the app. So when I see something like this from a fantasy standpoint, yeah, this very well could be a pretty good fantasy game as the sharps like the over and the sports books are moving it.
Yeah, I was going to say,
well,
translated to DFS purposes, sharps betting the over. That's exciting. This is a 3-game slate, and quite honestly, that game is probably one of on the lower side of exciting for DFS purposes. There's actually a defensive number I want to take a look at here. Colts. Yeah, they are very good. So if you do take a look at the Colts defense here, you'll see that they are actually the opposite of the Vikings. They're very good against opposing wide receivers, allowing 4.92 points below mean expectations to opposing wide receivers on the season. But the flip side is Justin Jefferson transcends defense, transcends matchups. He's just very, very good. So in the context of the 3-game slate, Justin Jefferson, he's an elite stud, but there are other ones, and Justin Jefferson's matchup is less good than the other elite stud wide receivers on the slate. I don't know if I'm going to get to too much Justin Jefferson. I'll have some. I don't know if I get to too much of it, but obviously in the context of this individual game, sure, I think he'll do fine, and I don't think anybody can hold Justin Jefferson down. As far as taking a side on this one, John, do you have a side in this game? Vikings been pulling out wins. I know that your model kind of like discounts a lot of their wins because they've been close, and they're kind of the paper good team that's probably not as good in reality.
Yeah, I think you pretty much nailed it. This team is just not as good as their record. I've actually got them ranked 17th in my rankings, which, obviously everything's close there, but middle of the road team. That's really what they are. And I think at the end of the day, we'll see that. Now, the Colts haven't been too impressive either this year, but I think we've got a better idea, or at least the market I think the market's overvaluing Minnesota a little bit. So I think we're getting a little bit of value. Maybe the model actually likes Minnesota in this game, but I'm leaning here towards Indianapolis. The model thinks it's 6.5. I'm going to lean towards the Colts here. I think this line should be closer to 3. So I'm going to take that extra point to 1.5. You can get 4.5, looks like at FanDuel. So, and you're not giving up any juice. That's still minus 110. So I kind of like that 4.5 with the Colts on this one.
Yeah, the sharp money is on the Colts here as well, John. 34% of the bets, but 70% of the money. And it agrees with what you're saying. And if you just look at the X's and O's on this game, I think it makes sense because the Achilles heel for the Colts has been teams that can rush the passer. They don't have a good offensive line. They can't protect the quarterback, but the Vikings don't have that. They're not really good at rushing the passer. They're not known defensively for the ability to have a pass rush. So that these games, you have to put them on an island and understand when the Colts play a good defense, it's kind of like what happened with Brady last week. And we'll get into that when we get into that game, but Brady's going to be shit against a good defense right now because his team can't protect him at all. And you saw it last week. It looked terrible. It was a big bet of the week. We fucking printed cash on it. You saw my tickets. I posted. I don't want to say it. I'm going to say the numbers, big numbers, college fund numbers.
Absolutely.
I told my kid, step it up, Ivy, bitch. Let's do this. After that, I was going to send her to SUNY Binghamton. Now I'm switching it up. Like Michigan, you want to go to Michigan? I got you. That was just that one game. One game affected my teenager's life in that level. Special.
That's how you have to do it. Yeah, you have to base your children's future on these bets. I mean, that's really the.
For the love of God. By the way, we can't even joke around about this shit because this is we are joking. All right.
Obviously
we are joking because actually some people take this a little serious.
Yeah. Please do not bet the college fund.
Do not bet your kid's college fund or do anything. And if you 1-800-GAMBLER if you feel you have a problem. Okay. So I really like the Colts as well. I think it's the sharp money side. And again, the Colts are going to be good in games when the opponent can't rush the passer, and that's what we got here. So if Matt Ryan can sit there, deliver, I like the pieces in this game. I think it's alternative for the 3-game slate on the Colts side. I don't love too much about the Viking side as of right now. I'm liking the Colts.
I got a question for you on this one. Cook's he's been okay. He's been fairly disappointing though. He hasn't been the top guy that
he has
first round pick. In fact, does he have a good game here against the Colt defense that hasn't been particularly good against the run?
No, I don't think he's good at. Or let me put it this way: he has a fine game, but Dalvin Cook has been massively overpriced for his role pretty much this whole season. So until the salary comes down to the David Montgomery level, the 6K level where he belongs, it's just not happening. They're not doing enough with the running back position for him to produce. They're not throwing to the running back almost at all. He gets 2 to 3 targets per game. That is not enough passing game work to produce at the 8 or 7,500 level on DraftKings. He hasn't done it all year. And quite honestly, it was smoke and mirrors even with Dalvin Cook in the past because he needed a lot of touchdowns to produce, kind of like Nick Chubb. He never, and this is a big misconception about Dalvin Cook, he's never been heavily used in the passing game. But this year in particular, even though they said they were going to emphasize the pass, it hasn't been there for Dalvin Cook. He's about a 10% guy. Should get 3 to 4 targets maximum per game, and that's just not enough without 2 touchdowns for him to get there. He hasn't had the 100-yard game. So, it's fine, but he's not somebody I'm prioritizing. I don't like him on main slates, and I don't like him on a shorter slate when there are no other running back options. So we will have to consider him. We do have to consider him, but I'd almost rather get silly with RB and just kind of like maybe use like a James Cook, like punt it. We'll see what we're going to do this week there. But I see what you're saying. There's not that many available. On this slate. Although
it's a tricky running back.
I think this next game will produce some potential playable running backs. Baltimore at Cleveland. Cleveland is a -3 favorite. And this game is interesting, John, because I believe Tyler Huntley is going to be back and he'll play. From a DFS angle, listen, I'm going right back to it. I think you got to go right back to it. The more somebody burns you last week, especially by no fault of their own through a head injury, I think you go right back. Oh, Geek, you suck. You said play Huntley last week. Yes, I did.
But you also said to bet Baltimore. So
yes, I did, and we crushed that bet. That's right. On the game plan, good call. We did bet Baltimore. That was another bet that we crushed last week as well. But I did say to play Huntley. And I was not aware in advance that he was going to get concussed in the game. Had I known that, we would have went a different direction. But we didn't get a lot of Huntley action. I think most of the first half, and that was it. Did he look amazing? No. But I think you go right back to it because that's just what you got to do. He's a running quarterback. He has skills. We've seen him produce high fantasy production in the past. And the flip side of this one is, listen, Deshaun Watson, he looked a little better last week than he looked week 1, his first week back. And I think with every passing week, he kind of knocks a little more dust off. But this is a new team for Deshaun Watson. He had not played in a few years, and he's clearly not in sync with his players the way that you need to be to play at a high NFL level, John. He's just not there yet. And so I think it's kind of weird that I guess Cleveland favored by 3 is about right. I don't have a side here. Which way do you have a side you're leaning on for betting purposes?
I'm actually leaning on the Baltimore side of this one as well. I think if I could read between the lines, I kind of sense that you like Baltimore. I don't know.
I do. I like Baltimore a little bit, and it's more because I just think that Cleveland defensively not defensively, that Cleveland offensively is out of sync still with Deshaun Watson in there. The thing is, Baltimore's not that good at putting up points either. So it's kind of a weird one. And I'm more leaning on a no play for me in this game than I would. I don't think I'm going to play it because, man, if I want to play a side though, it'd be Baltimore. And you can get 3.5, I think, if you find the right book right now. So I'm looking on Sharp, and
three right now is the best you could do. The line's been coming down.
Oh, it's coming down. There it goes. You're right. It's 2.5.
And this is one of those. This is one of those where you got to look at that reverse line move. When you look at the handles, the money's coming in on Cleveland. It appears to be sharp money, and then the line's moving towards Baltimore. So
yeah, what does that mean? What does that tell you? You're right.
That's a red flag. Yeah, it's a red flag.
Yeah.
The line, to me, the line trumps all, and the sports books move the line for a reason. So when I see the handles going one way and the line moving the other way, I follow the line. So I like that's why I'm leaning towards Baltimore in this game. And I agree with everything you said about Watson. We said it last week about Watson, that we may not see the Deshaun Watson that we are used to seeing at all this year. I mean, we may not see that until next season. So those people who drafted him in season longs and they were hoping, he was going to ride them, they were going to ride him to play. It's not happening.
I always knew
right?
that was one of the dumb moves
Yeah, I mean,
anybody can make. The guy hasn't played in a long time. He did not look good. He looked better last week than he looked in his first
he's
week.
going to look better, and he's got weapons. It's not like he doesn't have some, he's got weapons there. He's going to be okay, but it's going to take time. It's going to take time. Now I kind of compared it to how it took Brady, 8-9 weeks or whatever it was, that Super Bowl season, the first year in Tampa. I expect a guy like him to maybe get acclimated a little bit quicker because he's more athletic. He can give you a little something more than Brady can do, as far as running the ball. But at the end of the day, excuse me, I think I still think this team has a ways to go. And I agree with you on Huntley. Now, you said that you don't think they lose much or anything at all, Baltimore, with they
don't lose a ton. They don't lose.
Yeah, you just don't think that you think the market's overvaluing how much he's worth, because quite frankly, in this game, they'd probably be more of a pick 'em, not a favorite if Lamar's playing.
Yeah, what I think is we now have an overreaction to last week.
Mhm.
Like, Huntley played and they didn't, he didn't score. Well, I mean, like I said, he got hurt. It's not 100% clear at this second that Huntley will even play. He is concussed, and it's possible that you might get, that might be why it's moving, actually, because I think originally when this came out, the assumption was probably that it would not be Huntley. Listen, he got knocked out of a game with a concussion. People are not coming back that quickly from those now, so it's like, who's it going to be? And like Antonio, what was it, Anthony Brown? Who the fuck is their WR3? Their QB3 is nobody. So if it's that guy, that's why the line's moving, in my opinion, John. I think what's going on is they're realizing Huntley's going to play. So let's give it a minute to settle. Huntley's going to play. Oh my God, let's bet it. And then so the line moved. But a lot of that early movement, a lot of that early sharp money was like, oh, Huntley's out. Lamar's out. We're going to get a game with QB3 again. Give me Cleveland. So let's see what happens with this one. But I'm assuming Huntley plays. And if Huntley plays, I think Baltimore runs a competent offense. As far as DFS plays from this game, on the Baltimore side, you could go right back to the people who we liked last week who didn't perform, like Mark Andrews. Demarcus Robinson and Devin Duvernay are fine plays. And again, it's a short slate. You're going to have exposure to those guys. And then J.K. Dobbins looked pretty good. And this is a pretty good matchup for Baltimore running game. Dobbins, talk about your aforementioned running backs in this 3-gamer, Dobbins and even Gus Edwards. These are all guys who are going to be somewhat relevant on a 3-game slate like what we're dealing with. On the Cleveland side, same shit. Chubb, fine. No, I never loved Chubb, but he's fine. And then, Cooper and Njoku, who I always like, and the People's wide receiver, Donovan Peoples-Jones. There's a lot of fantasy goodness in this one to go around. Obviously, Cleveland's Achilles heel is their run defense. They're really, really bad, which again, J.K. Dobbins, I mean, he's not that expensive. It's a playable guy.
Yeah, I think Dobbins is the move here, right? I don't think he was fully healthy last week. Still had a pretty good game last week. And I think, like you said, Cleveland against the run has been pretty poor. Now the Baltimore's running backs haven't been all that great when you look at my sheet, but I think it's a different scenario here. They don't really rely on the running back when they've got Lamar. They've kind of got
and they didn't
Lamar
have these
does
guys.
that.
Yeah, they've been working with the running back position has been good, but they've been working with Kenyon Drake and old Devonta Freeman types. I mean, they've been working with Nair Duels.
I think they rely more on the running back here this week. So I do like I like that play. I like Dobbins here as one of the better running back plays this week.
And you can see here, Baltimore's been pretty good against the run, which again increases the likelihood that Njoku, Peoples, Jones, and Amari Cooper get a little bit more action in this one, because the way to attack Baltimore so far this season has been via the pass. And Cleveland, on the other hand, here we'll pull them up. Cleveland has been vulnerable, much more so to the run, which brings you back to the J.K. Dobbins and even, like I said, even Gus Edwards types. Although I don't love any of them.
This is a 37.5 total. So, I mean, we're not expecting fireworks from the wide receivers and quarterback.
That game is pretty gross. Yeah. All right. So now the sexy game on the slate. Kind of. Miami at Buffalo. And actually, I mean, my mind is blown. This is a 42-point total. Buffalo's at home. I don't even understand this total. Is there an injury? What the hell's going on here?
Well, they played, what was it, 20-17? What was the last time they played each other? It was like 20-17, I believe. Yeah, it was something like that. 20-17, I think was the score. But and Miami won that game. So
yeah, that was at Miami. This is at Buffalo. I don't get it.
Yeah, this is like back to back. This is like The Godfather when they're, Michael is he's avenging. He's taking care of all family business. The Buffalo took care of the Jets, who beat them. Now they take care of Miami this week, who beat them earlier in the season. So they're taking care of family business. Oh, it is. I didn't even think about it. It is Bill's Mafia, right? But yeah. So. But yeah, this line 42.5. I agree with you on the total. When you look at it when I look at my numbers, I'm like, boy, this game kind of stands out as a game that should be pretty good from a DFS standpoint. And I know how good the Buffalo defense has been, but that Buffalo defense was way better early in the season than it has been in recent times. And it's tough to go off of the Jet game because we know the Jet offense is not the best. And then White gets hurt last week, and so.
Look where they're vulnerable, John. They're vulnerable to opposing wide receivers a little bit.
And there's no team better at the wide receiver.
Yeah,
than Miami.
Miami has some good wide receivers. Now, I'm not sure what the health status is of Jalen Waddle at this second as we sit here. He might, he's got a Q tag floating around. I'm not sure what's going on with him, but assuming he does play and is fine, if Miami has their full set of weapons, 42 seems kind of low to me. And why wouldn't Buffalo alone be able to put up 35 on Miami? Miami's defense is not particularly good. Look, I mean, they're getting torched everywhere. They're getting torched by quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends. So Miami has been a vulnerable defensive team. I don't see why Buffalo doesn't put up 30 points in this game just by themselves.
Yeah, that's the total is definitely confusing. I've got to lean towards the over here myself just because the Buffalo offense. So I think that Buffalo offense should be able to do some damage. But I mean, maybe the side I like more is I actually don't mind laying the points here with Buffalo.
Really?
Yeah, I don't mind that. The Miami game, boy, that was concerning last week. That Miami offense, and against the strong defense, I'm still not a Tua believer as good as he's been against strong defense. Yeah, I'm just not. I really think now I love the coach. I think the coach puts him in really good spots, but I don't, the arm strength isn't there. Obviously, he reminds me more of, he's a Pennington who can run. And I know I know, there you go. You're a Pennington guy, and I love Chad Pennington. Right, but I think you get in against certain defenses, it becomes much more difficult and to be able to beat those defenses. Now you've got the freak in Tyreek Hill. That helps. The guy gets open no matter what. So, the Waddle, that'll be interesting. If we get Waddle out there, then the over to me is more in play. But I still think they cover the 7 points. Like I said, I think Buffalo they're going to start putting it together here. They make up for the fact that they lost that game early in the season to Miami. And I think they put a pounding on them here. So I think I'm confident in the Buffalo offense. I'm just not as confident in the Miami offense in this one. But when you look at it from a game stacking, and quite frankly, we don't care as much about game stacking because almost everything's going to be game stacked in a 3-game slate. But these are probably your best pieces overall. You've got more pieces to pick out of this game, even though the line is lower than that Minnesota game, but I like it better. It's just on when you look at Minnesota against the Colts, you're like, boy, 48.5, and then you go Buffalo, Miami, 42. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And when it doesn't make sense, usually that means you're wrong. Like, there's a reason.
Yeah,
it's where it is.
Probably more wrong
right.
than the number, but study the number and then say, hey, what am I missing? Rather than what are they missing? Sometimes you're missing something. Sometimes there.
It's possible.
I see the Baltimore game, like I said, it's kind of similar light. I mean, that game might
do you
go a
see,
little higher scoring.
But do you see a 6-point differential between that Miami game and the Minnesota game? Like, I would think I could see why the Miami, because Minnesota's defense is pretty bad. The Colts aren't exactly great, but when you compare, the Indianapolis offense compared to the two offenses that you got in Miami and Buffalo, I don't know. It seems like 6 points is a big difference.
It's a lot of travel for Miami.
It is.
West Coast, bad.
And you got to be careful too. I didn't even think about this. This is a night game in Buffalo. I didn't check the weather.
Cold.
But statistically,
that's what's going on here,
I
John.
should say. Yeah, it could be a bad weather. And historically, the warm weather teams playing in freezing temperatures have done bad against the spread. So
this is a bad
keep that
scene.
in mind.
This is a bad scene for Miami. You know what? That's next level thinking right there. That's the shit. It's freezing in Buffalo right now. There's supposed to be a snowstorm during this game. And so there is snow in the forecast. There's wind in the forecast. And that's what's going on with this total.
That's what the 42.5 is. Yeah, wind will do it. Yeah, wind is the worst thing for a total, right? Because it's hard to throw, it's hard to kick.
It's night,
cold. Yeah,
it's snowy. Cold doesn't do anything for Buffalo. They're used to it. You come from Miami, you're like in a bikini all day. There's like hot chicks walking by on the street. Now you go to Buffalo, it's like freaking Eskimos with their giant jackets and their sweatshirts, freezing your ass off over there all the time. It's a culture shock for the Miami players.
Yeah. Oh,
they don't like
it. Typically, it's actually been it's been shown over time that the teams that are in warm weather, when they go, if it's sub 32 degrees or something like that, they underperform against the spread. So keep that in mind.
That's what's going on here. That's what's going on. It's not a good setup for Miami to, Tua's Hawaiian.
Yeah.
California. He's used to warm weather, and Buffalo's he probably goes to Buffalo like, why does anybody live here? This is horrible, and just get me out of here. I didn't grow up with this shit, and I don't want it now. Imagine being from Hawaii and then you go to Buffalo. And you're like, people live here because there's Hawaii. It exists. Go there.
You're totally alienating an entire market of like Buffalo, Rochester people right now.
The people in Buffalo and Rochester know full well what's up.
Are you saying they don't want to be in Buffalo either?
Yeah, they know full well what's up. They're like, we're here. We wish we were there. Okay, we're here. Listen, I'm in New York. I'm not even New York. I wish I was there too. I'm like, why am I? I don't fucking know why I'm here. Like, get the hell out of here. It's cold outside. What am I doing?
I heard it was is it cold today? I heard it was pretty cold yesterday. My dad usually texts me the weather, 26 degrees, he said.
Cold outside. Who wants that?
I was in shorts today, but
imagine living in New York, in Buffalo, and you have to pay state income tax as well. Like, wait, it's freezing, it's miserable, and I pay income tax here.
And if you live in New York City, you get to pay New York City income tax as
well. New York City. Nice. But if you're outside of, like, wait, if you're in Buffalo or Rochester, like Northwestern, it's like you don't even get the bennies. Not that there's much Benny, but you don't even get any of that. It's just like, no, you just pay, and
you don't like all the quality of the roads in New York and how well maintained they are, and how there's never any construction going on or anything like that.
It's not the New York I'm from. So
no, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I love when they do a construction. I think they're still working on the Gowanus. They've been working on, my dad retired in 2000, and they were working on that before he retired. I think they're still working on the same project.
I used to drive past there for my Morgan Stanley job, which was in downtown Brooklyn. When my first job, I'd take the Gowanus.
Yes. Oh, you were taking it from where you are now?
No, I was in Brooklyn, and I would get on the Gowanus off of Ocean Parkway. I just get right on there.
Oh yeah.
Oof. Man, that's like a quarter-mile stretch that would take like 40 minutes.
Brutal.
Yeah, it was rough. All right. Anyway, no one cares about the Gowanus. Tell you what, they care about bets. So that'll do it for the 3-gamer. As far as some of the DFS plays from that last game, by the way, Miami, Buffalo, again, the coldness factor is actually really interesting here. I think you got to be a little bit careful, but of course, Stephon Diggs and the usual suspects. Josh Allen will probably be the most popular quarterback play on this 3-gamer. His little pay up option there. Tyreek Hill in play as well. I don't like either running back for either team in the spot, or any of the running backs from this game in particular. Although in a cold game, you would think it could work out. Man, I feel like Devin Singletary is going to ruin dreams for that 3-game slate, though. Like, watch it be a Devin Singletary game, just out of nowhere. That's how these things tend to go. All right, Sunday slate. First game on the docket. Falcons at the Saints. Newly crowned Desmond Ridder at the helm for the Falcons. No clue what that means for anything. Never seen him. Don't know what he's going to do. Rookie. But what I do know is that, hey, I like targeting defenses against rookies. So give me some Saints defense at home in this one. New Orleans 4-point home favorites. As far as DFS angles here, is this the game to go back to Alvin Kamara? Could he finally? They're favored. It's a win. No one likes playing Kamara. He's been destroying lineups for the most part all season long. I think he's interesting on the main slate as a playable guy. Not somebody I'm going to have any confidence in, though, but playable. Of course, Chris Olave, overpriced for the role, unfortunately, on DraftKings at the moment. He's at 65 or 6,600. He's priced up a little bit, John. The guy has not had a single performance worthy of that salary on the season. You need, at 6,500, you need 26 DraftKings points to be relevant. He hasn't done it. Maybe this is the week. Maybe not. How do you see this one going from a betting perspective?
Yeah, from the betting side, 443.5 on the total. The model likes New Orleans on this one. The public has bet Atlanta. I mean, pretty much all the tickets and all the money's coming in on Atlanta. I don't get that one at all. I would lean here towards New Orleans. This game has playoff implications. I mean, as crazy as that sounds. I mean, these teams are both alive to make the playoffs here. And you would think, I'm glad you brought up Kamara, because you would think this should be a Kamara type of game. Like, you know what? Let's just pound the ball down their throat. They got the rookie quarterback.
Mark Ingram out for this one, by the way. And he's been a guy that's been getting some of those looks. So Ingram is out. Here, let me pull up his stats, but he's out for this one. So, increases the likelihood for Kamara.
Yeah, I do think Kamara might be sneaky in this one. The numbers don't necessarily show it just because they've been so bad at the running back position. New Orleans has this year, but I think we can. Atlanta not great against anyone. If you look at the numbers, terrible against the quarterback, terrible against running backs, wide receiver. I mean, they're one of the worst against wide receivers and the tight end. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a game that I'm necessarily excited about, but from a betting standpoint, yeah, I'm going to lean towards New Orleans here. And then I think Kamara might be sneaky as well. I do agree with you on Olave being a little bit overpriced here. I could see this game staying kind of being low scoring. We just don't know what we're going to get from, rookie quarterback, first game. We just don't know what we're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, Saints defense, of course, in play. Olave, this is what I'm talking about with him. He hasn't outscored, there's a 24 when he was at almost 7K, 740, 20, 28. So he needs to get 4X salary to be relevant. That keeps you on pace for a 200. And as you've seen, we need about a 220 or 230. So you need to be a little bit better than 4X. And he's just not done it yet this year. That doesn't mean he can't. There's a 26er. So he's almost there some of these games. That was back when the price was 4,500, though. At 6,500, I think he's playable here. He will be a focal point of his offense. But the other flip side is we have no clue what Desmond Ridder is going to do. But I do have to tell you something. There is one player that I want to keep in mind. I want to mention him on this one. I'm sure we'll get to him later in the week on some of the other shows that we do. But listen, Des Ridder, I get it. Rookie, not going to be very efficient. Probably not going to be very good. But Drake London has gotten cheap to the point, and with no pits, Drake London has gotten cheap to the point where we might get 12 targets in a game like this for him. I think he's relevant in tournament discussions. Drake London, just in case, I don't think Des Ridder has to have a good game for Drake London to get 8 receptions and just produce based on his sub 5K salary level. So I'm keeping him in my tournament mix. He might make my sheet. Maybe it's hard to run on the Saints, so you really got to throw on that defense a little bit. Although they've been less good against the run this year. Actually, they're just if you look here, they're just average against the run this year. It's been more of a traditionally good run defense, but that's not kind of held up this season.
By the way, now that we're looking at New Orleans, just be careful on that number, the quarterback number, because Hill is counted as a quarterback. So his numbers get added in there. That's why the quarterback numbers look a little bit better for New Orleans on that sheet. So just keep that in mind. Let's not go exaggerating the numbers.
We ain't loading up on Dalton here. Let's not go nuts. All right, next up, Pittsburgh at Carolina. This one's an interesting one, John. The Steelers are 2.5-point road underdogs, with the game total set at a minuscule 37.5. I'm just trying to get a sense here. Darnold at the helm for the Panthers. They're now favored. Okay. There it is. Favored against the Steelers. The Sam Darnold-led Panthers. John, what do you think of this line? And you got any betting angles on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the best iteration of the Panthers that we've seen this year, quite frankly. So I agree with the line here in the sense that I like Carolina. This line actually opened up lower. It's moved in Carolina's favor. And I would grab this one before it gets to the 3. I think Carolina's the better team here. I think they win this game. So I like Carolina. It's going to be a bet I'm making. Impressive win. I mean, going out to see, it's always tough to win in Seattle. The Seattle team obviously has overachieved so far this year. Geno in the running for, comeback player of the year. But they went in there and they were able to handle it, and they put up a ton of points, right? Yeah. They put up 30, whatever.
We bet that was one of the bets last week as well that smashed. We had Carolina +4. Easy money.
So that one, I think Carolina comes in and win. I think Carolina is now possibly the best team in this division. I mean, doesn't
with
say
Arnold. Oh my!
Who do you like? Who's the best team in this division? Is it still Tampa?
No, they all stink.
There you go. Well, one of them has to win, and I think Carolina might pull this out. I think they're going to win this week.
Very, very significant live movement in this one. So the Steelers started off -3 when this opened, and now they're +2.5. And that probably is just because of Darnold looking semi-competent at quarterback. But I know Darnold. Listen.
Well, you also have Trubisky is going to be playing, correct?
Oh, that's right. And Trubisky, that is a big change as well.
Yeah.
And actually, I think Trubisky was a more competent quarterback than Pickett.
Yep.
Right. I think Trubisky was a little more competent, but he sucks too. This is a weird one. I will say the sharp money, the money side is favoring the Steelers right now a little bit, but that probably fueled that line movement a little bit, or it's being fueled by that line movement a little bit. So I don't know. This is a weird game. I'm not touching it. I'm not betting this. Fuck Sam Darnold. I'm not betting on Sam Darnold. Not again. Not after last week. I already took that chance once. You don't keep going back to the well. That's dangerous.
You're just
going back in.
You're just a jilted Jet fan.
There's only so many times you want to go. You want to dip your toe in those Sam Darnold waters before you get your toe bitten off. I'm gonna pass on that one. But as far as DFS angles for this one, I don't. DJ Moore seems hurt, so I can't trust him. Although normally I do like to play wide receivers against the Steelers, I just can't trust DJ Moore after last week's debacle. And there's nothing else on the Panthers passing offense that I'm interested in. I do have mild interest in Deontay Johnson with Mitch Trubisky under the helm. I just think, if you saw last week, he did get peppered with targets, and at $5K, he's cheap enough that it's a cheap source of targets. Najee Harris also carries a little bit of interest for me. That's right. I said it. Najee Harris, because I think if the Steelers play any sort of competent game and are competitive with Trubisky at the helm, I think Najee Harris will get a little bit of work here. So I do like that game a little bit from the running back, and running back is very, very slim on this main slate. I've already started putting together my cheat sheet for it, and I've got my plays picked out, and Najee Harris did make the list just because running back's super thin this week. So you got to open your horizons. He's a tournament play, but I'm interested. All right, next up, we got the Eagles at Chicago. And John, this is one of my favorite games of the week. Eagles are 9-point road favorites. A little scary. But Eagles are just playing some great, great football right now. just blowing teams out and whatnot. Chicago gets Justin Fields 2 weeks of rest the shoulder injury back. They still don't have any wide receivers, but you'll get a healthy Justin Fields for this game. And I actually like the Chicago side of this one at home. I'm not down with laying 9 on a road favorite at all, John.
Yeah, I don't love to do it either, but I would actually lean more towards the Philly side. I think the Bears are basically just Fields. So I think Philly, much more complete team, possibly the best team in the NFC right now. And I think their defense will be able to hold Fields at least. They're not gonna stop him, but I think they slow him down enough where this team doesn't put up enough points to stay within the 9. So I think Philly's gonna have no problem scoring in this game.
Yeah,
I think it's just a matter of how much does Chicago score.
Bears defense is atrocious. But can Chicago keep up? Can they just hang?
Well, the one good thing is they play against a similar type of running quarterback every day in practice. So that should give them a little bit of help as opposed to a lot of other teams who don't necessarily get to see that on a daily basis. Because other than that, the Bears aren't going to throw the ball on you and beat you, right? So, I mean, there's no other weapons here. You've got to just stop the Fields running game. The Fields running game is their passing game.
Let me throw this at you, okay? So you just said something prophetic. But what is one of the strengths of the Eagles defense, right? It's their elite cornerback play. Darius Hayward-Slay, James Bradbury. Good overall secondary. And you know what Chicago says? We don't care. We don't even have wide receivers. Hey, you go deep. Take those guys out. We're not throwing to you anyway. So they don't even care. I think Chicago actually negates one of the best parts of the Eagles defense, their corners, because they don't throw to wide receivers. So it doesn't matter to them. They're like, no, we don't throw to wide receivers. We throw it to fullbacks and offensive linemen who come in as eligible wide receivers. And we throw to David Montgomery, and the quarterback sometimes just throws it up and catches it himself and takes off. We don't bother with this. They don't care about your elite cornerbacks. Fuck your elite cornerbacks, Philly. We don't throw to wide receivers, so suck it.
Yeah, well, playing man also is usually a bad idea against quarterbacks like this, right? So usually you're going to want to play some sort of a zone. You play man, it just leaves it
clear it out.
It leaves too much. Yeah, you turn your back to the quarterback, and with a quarterback like this, it's going to burn you. So you would expect to see more zone. Maybe they play man on the on one receiver, and then zone the rest of they'll come up with something creative here. And you also don't want to blitz this team at all. I don't like I like just kind of sitting back, rushing 4, and then just kind of keeping an eye on Fields. So we'll see how they play it. But yeah, this is the tricky thing for me. This is what I've been going, last week I had a pretty good week on DraftKings because I didn't have to deal with Fields. He's been sort of throwing a wrench into the works for me where you can't stack him. So you've got to really, it's hard, even though, yes, he's been in the weeks he's won with stacks, but I think that's just because most people, an overwhelming majority of people, have some sort of a stack in play when they do it. I think that's why, because it's not like Mooney. Yeah, but it's not like Mooney was that great that he needed to be in the stacks.
It was Kmet. It wasn't
or
Mooney.
Kmet. Yeah, all right.
Kmet was a 3K tight end that was putting up an 18. That's the tight end you needed for the week. So I listen.
But I think you're gonna win. I think we're gonna see a winner without stat. I think eventually. I don't think this is the week, but yeah, I don't think this is necessarily the week. But I think it's gonna happen where you're gonna have a naked Fields or potentially another quarterback. But I think Fields is the most likely candidate because of how bad they are. Yeah, you could get it with a situation like that where you just get a couple of touchdowns from one of the receivers, especially the tight end, because you're going to get a cheap option. So maybe, yeah, okay, I'll give you that. But I think it's worthwhile to play some naked if you're mass entering, to play him naked this week. I don't know. I mean, you got to play him, obviously, and I think he's he's rested enough now to the point where we were worried about it 2 weeks ago coming off the injury.
Yeah, he's good.
but I think he's going to be fine now. So I wouldn't worry necessarily about the injury. I'm more worried about the Philly defense. The other thing is, when it's on the ground, it's running, but we sort of equate that to we don't like running when a team is a big underdog. But like I was saying earlier, this is more, and I'm looking at this actually statistically when I start looking at my model with so many more running quarterbacks. I actually, the way I some of the numbers work, it's different for rushing yardage and passing yards on how much each one of those yards are worth. But I'm looking at these quarterbacks are now they're like a passing game because they'll run. I don't know what Fields' average is, but these running quarterbacks don't run for an average of a typical running back. A running back's going to average at 4 to 5 yards a carry. These guys are 9-10 yards every time they take off, right? So it's different. It's like throwing the ball. It's better than throwing the ball when they average. You might average 7 or 8 yards per pass and 9 when your quarterback runs on some of these.
These two quarterbacks are the quarterbacks to play in DFS this week. They are cheat code quarterbacks. We've been saying it week after week after week. You must get exposure to Justin. I'm actually getting a lot of questions, like in season long. I'm getting questions like Fields versus Watson. Who should I play this week? And the answer is Fields. You always play Fields. You play Fields when you can. I don't care what the matchup is because he's a running back and a quarterback all in one. He will throw it to someone. All of a sudden, Equanimous St. Brown is going to have a day. Some random will have an okay day. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And check this out, John. You actually brought up a topic that allows me to show off a new feature we have on the DFS Army Domination Station Optimizer. This is the domination, the Dom Station. Let Jesus take the wheel. The thing that prints all the cash for all the peoples, right? And under legacy stacking, we've added an exclude option. So if I want to stack QB with no less than 2 wide receiver, tight end, same team, which has been the correct approach for most this season. Last season, it was with 1. This season's with 2. Who the fuck knows? John, you said at the beginning of the year, you're like, I don't care what happened last year. I'm still going with my QB plus 2 approach. That has been working this year. It did not work last season. Don't at me. I back tested it. But I don't want to include Justin Fields in that stack. So now, instead of having to make a million different rules, I can just exclude Justin Fields from this particular rule. And I've got now a rule in place, stack QB with no less than 2. And I've excluded Justin. Now I can make a separate rule for Justin Fields, or I can let him free float without having to worry about making a million different rules to make this happen. Exclude functionality brought to you exclusively by DFS Army and the Domination Station Optimizer. How you like that?
It's a hugely helpful feature. There's
a lot of research went into that additional option.
I really think this is the trend, though. I think we're at the early stages of what we're going to see. When we're doing this 5 years from now,
naked quarterbacks, just no more.
It's going to be different. Yeah, it's going to be different. And trying to figure, if you could be the first one to figure out how this changes, of course you're going to make money. I mean, that's just always the way it is. And
I'm gonna leave it to you to figure that out and to pass it along to me, so I can make some money.
I'm doing my best.
All right, so let's move on here. But yeah, from this game, of course, like I don't know, say it. I think you can go right back to Miles Sanders. Had a big game last week. Don't love him, kind of like him. Go right back to it. The matchup is great for the running game for the Eagles. If you're playing Jalen Hurts, he must be stacked, in my opinion. So I'm going to stack him with, Brown or Devontae Smith. Goddard is still out for another week. So the offense is really focused on those 2 wide receivers. On the Chicago side, I don't mind Montgomery, Kmet, and Fields. That's the group. I got no one else. All right. KC at Houston. KC is a monster favorite here. -14 on the road at Houston. Houston starting Davis Mills. Their running back hurt. Not sure who's going to play running back. Rex Burkhead. They got a bunch of other random players that I don't know who the fuck it's going to be quite honest. But Case Sizzles looking to come in and put a beating down on the Texans here. Texans coming off that crazy cover. Again, another bet we made last week. Wise Guys, main show, cashed it. Texans plus 17.5. Never even sweated. Never broke a sweat. I was just sitting there enjoying. Dry, John. Dry. It's like I was zestfully dry. What is that? What is that stuff? The deodorant commercial.
I don't know
Dial.
which one.
Aren't you glad you used Dial? Don't you wish everybody did? I don't even need to use that shit.
Yes.
I don't even need to use it. Those are soap. I can't remember.
Was Dial?
Arm and Hammer. Dial's soap, I think.
That's what I was thinking when you said that, but I'm not 100% sure. I do
there
use
used to be like
Arm and Hammer.
We don't need to know your personal selection.
Well, it has no aluminum in it.
I like the aluminum.
Well, the aluminum, it leaves like stains and stuff on your t-shirts.
Oh, is that what it does?
If you have some sort of a reaction to it. So yeah, I go with the aluminum free.
No, I like the metals in there. I feel like it's more expensive if you include it, and that makes it better.
It probably is. Yeah,
it's better.
That's true. Higher the price, better.
Precious metals. I like precious metals in everything. You ever see Salt Bay? You familiar with Salt Bay?
I am not.
Salt Bay is like this fancy ass chef that has a restaurant in New York City, right? And he he's doing all kinds of moves. He's doing like kung fu moves to create the
that guy?
Yeah,
the
guy
who used to be the social media guy with
he's got
he's got a restaurant.
He's got a restaurant. It's called Salt Bay, and one of the steaks, he just takes a piece. He takes a New York strip, and he puts a piece of gold leaf on top of it, and then takes the price up from $70 to $1,000 for a $7 sheet of gold leaf paper that you could buy at the Michaels, at the craft store.
Yeah, there was a burger like that in the city too, where they had like gold leaf on it. I think it was like Club. I forget what Club.
People don't know that gold leaf is pretty inexpensive. It's like $7 or $8 a sheet.
Truffle, that's expensive. When you start putting truffle on stuff.
Gold leaf has no taste either. Why would you want to consume it?
It's pretty idiotic.
Yeah. Anywho, what the hell? $1,000 steak. So, KC, Houston -14. Are any betting angles for this one?
Yeah, I mean, not really. Once these lines get up to double digits, it's tough. Houston, I mean, you got to figure, did they shoot their load last week? I mean, they basically had that game won. I mean, they should have won that game.
That was such a bullshit loss. Honestly,
terrible.
If you were in a survivor and you somehow had Dallas still left and you played them thinking, suckers, everybody else getting knocked out and I'm hanging. And then you're watching that game, you literally just cannot believe what's going on at this point. Like, that was the lock of the century, and they should have lost.
I have a couple of buddies who were in the Circa, and they're in the DraftKings Survivor, and the Circa, they were playing the same exact picks. They had Dallas left. Circa, the guy who you need someone to put the games in for you because it's out in Vegas. If you don't live out there, the guy
didn't you say
he missed? Yeah, this was like 5 or 6 weeks ago. He got him in late. They'd still be alive because they're still alive in DraftKings. They had Dallas last week, losing their minds. How they still had Dallas available was unbelievable. But one of the guys, I do the Survivor podcast, and one of the guys who's been interacting with me via email. He was down to 8 people in his pool, $170,000 or something like that. He still had Buffalo left. Wanted to know, should I save Buffalo? He was the only one who could take Buffalo. One other person could take Dallas. Everyone else had to take the mix of like 3-point favorites that were out there, including me. I got knocked out of a pool I was in.
Oh no.
Yeah, I had there was no winning. It was double picks, and both of them lost. There was no way I was getting around it. But we went from 50 to 3 people in that pool, from 50 people to 3 people in 1 week, because everyone had to take a team that lost. Basically,
double picks is
unless
brutal.
You took an underdog. The only people who survived had an underdog. So the guy in that one pool, he emailed me. They wound up chopping it. The other guy had Dallas, so one guy could take Dallas, he could take Buffalo. See, he was a yard away from scooping the entire 170,000, but he wasn't too upset with like the 85,000.
Oh, so that was it, final week. So whoever
they wound up chopping it. Yeah, they chopped it, which I don't blame them. But yeah, it was. I mean, listen, that's just been the way the year's been. I didn't check the numbers, but if you've bet the money line underdogs just blindly this year, you're up a pretty good penny in the NFL. That's just the way the season has gone.
If you just followed the wise guys picks.
Wise guys have been unbelievable, and I love the comments. People are like, "This is the greatest betting show online." Like, people love it with you and Anthony. So yeah, you guys are doing a kick-ass job on that.
I throw my hands up to an unbelievable record on the season, including the big pizza bets or the big bets, and the way they've come through. We not only bet San Francisco minus 3.5. We also took them minus 10. And we also took alt spreads at minus 14. That was like a game. I was like, oh my God, the alts are all hitting. We had Carolina to win outright. I mean, just last week, it was unbelievable. And honestly, the losing bets are the ones where I've gone against when I go against Anthony, and I was like, I probably shouldn't do this, but like the Chargers play, he had the Chargers, I had Miami. Of course, I lost that one. So, you want to be watching the Wise Guys show every week. Yeah, you just got to watch that.
The thing in this game, though, is, the Kansas City defense has been terrible. And it's not like they're not in this position often. I mean, they're a double digit, they're anywhere between a touchdown to a double digit favorite every week. Yet the defense, look at the numbers look at the sheet. I think they're negative in every against every
because they don't have to. They're up. Yeah, KC's given up a lot of points. That defensively not very good. There are DFS angles for this game, John, and we got to get into them because they're really important DFS angles here that we can talk about. So, I would not. I don't think you want to lay 14. I think it's too much. At the same time, I'm not taking Houston. Fuck that. No. Not in this spot. I took the 17 last week because Dallas is not a team that can score a lot, and there were a number of reasons why I thought the line was off. This one, KC could easily be up 35. This would be a backdoor cover if it happens, right? But Chris Moore. So Houston has no one, right? The running backs are all hurt. There's Rex Burkhead and some combination of random, just ne'er-do-wells at the running back position. You don't want to fuck with that, right? But Chris Moore. So with Brandon Cooks out and with Nico Collins out, Chris Moore last week, Moore got, I believe it was,
he had 11 targets, 10 receptions, 11 targets, 24 yards.
He loaded up 11 targets. This guy, we loaded up on him in DFS. It was one of our top plays, and it was a great play last week. Fuck yeah. Helped a lot of people take down some tournaments. By the way, I didn't even talk about DFS Army. We absolutely smashed week 14 across the board. Trevor Lawrence, Bobby Wow gave it out on Tournament Tactics. I handcrafted a lineup on the Players Club that came in 7th in a 14,000 person tournament. Not something I've done. It's pretty freaking awesome on a handcraft on a Trevor Lawrence stack that had Christian Kirk in it. By the way,
I needed Kirk myself.
Kirk wasn't good. It was Zay Jones who was good.
I know. I needed Kirk on on an early. I was right there.
You need him to do better. But even with Kirk, that lineup came in 7th in the 3-point stance, which is a big. So anyway, Chris Moore is part of it. I love Chris Moore this week. Going right back to him if he's the starter. That is a very, very good spot. And KC, not a scary defense at all. As far as maybe Philip Dorsett or Amari Rodgers, I don't mind any of those guys also as a wide receiver punt on the Houston side. And on K-Sizzles, these type of games, I go away from Travis Kelce paying up. I think you play Juju Smith-Schuster in a game like this, and both running backs, be it Pacheco or J-Rock McPwinnon, as I like to call him, are playable here. Jerick McKinnon last week, of course, if you played him, the Millie Maker winner played Jerick McKinnon and won the Millie Maker by 40 points.
Can I just make a note on that? Yeah, the guy who won, there was no catch in that guy.
Yeah,
but I had some pretty good lineups. I went and checked. I usually don't do this, but I went back and checked all the because I run a million files and I tinker with this, that, and the other. So every file I had was better than the one I played, of course. And every one of them had a top 25 in the millie. Every one of them a top 25 in the millie, other than the one I played, which had a top, like I was in the top 100. But one of them had second. I had the second place millie lineup on one of my files, and I was like, brutal. So, but yeah, that was painful. But yeah, when I looked at it, I'm like, it's so rare that you see someone just blow out the field like that. It's so hard to do with 200 some odd thousand people in the pool to be that far above the next best. But yeah, that was unbelievable. So there was no catch in that guy. There was no making a 270 point lineup. I
couldn't replicate it even in back testing, but
no, there was no doing it.
Could not replicate it. But what I did do is I did replicate Hunter. Hunter Sinclair is one of our guys who's been with DFS Army forever. He did the 20 max $1 contest, wound up putting up a 258, which would have been second place in the Millie Maker. Yeah. First place in his contest, $1 into 10K. pretty good stuff. I was able to replicate that with 2 or 3 clicks of the button. So again, our optimizer, the domination station, was on point, QB +2. As long as you included Trevor Lawrence in your player pool, it did give you it give you the proper combination, and then you just kind of needed to get the running back position not horribly. And I was very big on Christian McCaffrey, and that was one of the better plays of the week as well. So, but of course, I did not. Miles Sanders is what you needed, and I was not on him almost at all. And that was that mix: Miles Sanders and Jerick McKinnon in the same lineup. Like, who's doing that? So that was that part that was really, really tough to get to last week, for sure. But again, I think with this game, Pacheco, sure, why not? Even McKinnon on that side, and a little bit of Juju Smith-Schuster for good shits and gigs. Now, here's an interesting game. 47.5 point total. Cowboys at Jacksonville. And in this one, the Jaguars are home, 4-point underdogs. 47.5 point game total. It's a high total on this game, John, and a close game. And I'm not sure if this is an overreaction to Dallas's bad game last week, or actually the number looks pretty on point to me. This could go a number of different ways, though. One of the ways is where Jacksonville's just handled defensively, and they can't do a thing. And that is in the realm of stuff that could happen in this one for me. And then, of course, there's, Dallas, who figures out a way to disappoint whenever they're expected to smash. So how do you see this one going down from a betting angle?
Yeah, so 4 and 47.5 on the total. The AI model likes it, Dallas too. So the AI model's favoring Jacksonville, likes 44.5, thinks it's a little high on the total, so it's favoring the under. The money has been coming in on Jacksonville. I think that's sort of understandable, but it's heavy on the Jacksonville side and heavy on the over side. Now, I would lean, I don't like this game as a bet. I would lean Dallas because I love the fact that they're coming off such a bad
coming off a dud narrative.
And Jacksonville's coming off such a good performance against Tennessee. Now, see, the thing with that Jacksonville game, I was worried about that game. That was one of the games I had in Survivor. Like I said, I really didn't have many options as far as favorites I could take, and Tennessee was one of them. I had to go with it. But that was going to be, and I was curious to see how Lawrence was going to fare against Tennessee, because you can throw the ball on Tennessee.
Tennessee is a team that is producing tournament winners, Millie Maker winners, week after week after week. You always need to be aware of the offense going up against the Titans.
Yeah, when you look at the numbers, their quarterback, it's one of the worst. They're one of the worst against the quarterback, second to Detroit, I believe, and then the worst against wide receivers.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you're going to look good, you're going to look good against Tennessee as a quarterback there. Now, Dallas, not the case, right? So quarterbacks you don't typically have big games against Dallas at the quarterback. This Dallas defense is now, I believe that I've got them ranked 6, but it's so tight with those top
Dallas allowing 3.6 points below mean expectation to opposing quarterbacks on the season. Running back not doing well against Dallas. One of the best teams against the running back, allowing 3.7 points below mean expectation. Everybody does bad against Dallas, except wide receivers. They're kind of average.
Yeah, and I think this Dallas, the part of this team that's actually been getting better over time is the Dallas offense. That's really where they needed to improve. This defense has been solid all year long. The week after week, the offense has actually improved in my rankings. They've been climbing. So now they're both on my rankings. They're both ranked 6, which is pretty good. The only better team from a balance standpoint is Buffalo, which they're like 2 on defense and maybe 4 on offense now. Buffalo. So I think Dallas is going to be able to put points up against Jacksonville. I think the offense does show up here, and I don't think they're going to shut down Jacksonville, but I think they'll be able to hold them. They'll hold them down enough here where they'll be able to cover. Yeah. It's not a game that I love to bet. I probably won't have the bet, but certainly in pools and things like that, I'm going to have a lean on Dallas in this one, and I do favor the game to go under. So I'm kind of going against the public on both of these. So the public likes Jacksonville in the over. I would lean more Dallas on the under.
Yeah, I would go against the public as well. Public always assumes what happened last week is going to happen again, and that is not how football works at all. As far as DFS angles, I'm down with CeeDee Lamb here on Dallas. I think Dallas is going to have to throw the football. Dalton Schultz is one of my favorite tight end plays on the slate. He continues to get 8 to 10 targets per game. Dalton Schultz is like a wide receiver, underpriced for the role. He's a guy I don't even mind in the flex. Like, you stuff an extra guy in there because there are no wide receivers at the 4,500 range that are really getting 8 to 10 targets. So Dalton Schultz becomes a really, really good play for me. I think Tony Pollard is a little priced too high. I think Travis Etienne is also not in a good spot here. So I'm going to probably stay away from the run game on this one. But I like some of the pass catchers on both teams. Go right back to Zay Jones as well with his 10, 12 targets per game. But I agree with you. I don't think this is the Trevor Lawrence has another big game situation. And I don't really love Travis Etienne in this spot against this defense. All right, next up, we've got the Lions taking on the Jets. And this is a game I do like for DFS purposes. 44.5 point total. I think it's probably a little bit low, but at the moment, it's a pick 'em. It's a pick 'em. Well, what? Detroit just beat the Vikings. Now they're a pick 'em? Yeah, it's a pick 'em. Jets defense is really good. Mike effing White at the helm should be fine for this game. He already said he's going to play. And what does Detroit do but produce quality outcomes for opposing offenses? So I like this Jets offense in this game as well. All the way from Garrett Wilson to Corey Davis to Zani Knight. All of them. I'm down. And Mike White, playable. There, I said it. Do you have a side that you like in this one, John?
Well, like you said, it's 1 and 44.5. I think the total's interesting in that it's right about where the average points per game so far this season is. It's like 44.1, I think, is where we're averaging. So we're right at the average there, which is basically saying because you've got the Jets, obviously they're one of the best defenses. They may be like second or third best defense in the NFL right now. The Jets defense is legit.
4 points below mean expectation. Yeah. Look at against wide receiver. And this is after that Bills game.
Yes.
This helped this, by the way. Their number exploded because when you hold down Steffi Diggs, that is going to help your average, allowing almost 9 points per game below mean. You cannot play wide receivers against the Jets.
No. But now look at the Detroit offense, right? So like Detroit offensively has been one of the better offenses in football. I think I've got them as the number 2 offense. I love explaining rankings.
How to use the sheet as we do this. So what this is telling you on Detroit is actually interesting and shocking, but their wide receivers are scoring almost 5 points per game above mean expectations, so they're good. And their running backs are absolutely tearing it up, scoring 7 points above mean expectation to the running back position, although I will say you can't fuck with those Detroit running backs either in this one.
No, it's going to be tricky. So the game sort of looks on. You got to look every week and look at what the Detroit game is because they've been kind of fantasy gold as well, both sides. I mean, we've had a lot of weeks here.
You want the opponent.
The opponent for Detroit. But certainly you could, having some game stacks often has worked with Detroit, but necessarily in this game, I don't know,
I'm not playing the Jets side. Pieces. No, we don't touch.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Don't play anybody against the Jets. That is bad juju.
I agree with you. So I think we could get some decent options on the Jet side of this game. I don't think it's game stackable. From a betting standpoint, though, the Jet, I can't really put my finger on one side or another on this game. I mean, Detroit playing really well right now, but I think the Jets. I mean, if I had to make a pick, I'm going to take the Jets here in this game. I like the defense over the offense, but I think this one's tough. But I'm going to take the team coming out of the dome. We'll see what the weather is like you said, again,
cold,
and I'll take my chances with the Jets at home in this game because defense in December, in January, wins games. I'll take my chances with the Jets if I had to, but I'm going to lay off as far as making an actual bet on this one.
I like the Jets as well. I think they win this game straight up. I think they win it. They need to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. They need this win. The Jets are actually potentially going to be in the playoffs.
Jets are going to make the playoffs.
They need to win some games. Dangerous. No, the schedule is tough. This is one of those wins that they need.
No, they have to win it. I think they're going to get in the playoffs. You don't want to play. This is not a team you want to play in the playoffs. Now, it helps that
Mike fucking White is a real quarterback.
If Mike White's going to put up, if the Jets, if you can guarantee against anybody that they could score 20 if the Jets put up like 24 points in any game, they got a good shot. I don't care if it's Buffalo or Kansas City. Like, they have a shot to win that game.
They replaced Breece Hall with Zonovan Knight, and Zonovan Knight looks good. Zonovan Knight is one of my favorite plays this week at the running back position because he's up against Detroit at home, and he's good. He's actually good at the game. And then, so they replaced it, and now they replaced an F at quarterback, which was Zach Wilson. He was an F. Like, he's just completely an F, with a C- in Mike F. and White, right? That's good enough. A C- gets it done. Jacoby Brissett gets you there. He looked good. These kind of guys, they can get you there if you have a great defense. And that's what's going on here. Mike White might even be a C+ by the time all said and done. I don't know. But I don't think he's going to be the Jets quarterback next year. We'll see. I don't think any of these guys will be. What a weird year. All right, let's keep moving. Patriots at the Raiders. And John, you want to talk about a weird fucking spread? The Patriots are 1-point road favorite at the Raiders. Their running back situation in flux. I don't know if Ramondre Stevenson's going to play. If not, you got the combo of maybe Damian Snacks Harris, Pierre Strong, Kevin Harris. There's a lot of Harrises on the team. Vegas side, the team is all about Jacobs and Devontae, with the Patriots being sort of one of the top rush defenses in the league. I think this feels like a Devontae Adams explosion game to me. But what do you think of this line with the Vegas with the Raiders as home 1-point underdogs?
You could actually get this at +1 for both teams, depending on where you go. Right. So FanDuel's got it at +1.
No one knows what to do with this game then.
Yeah, I mean, FanDuel's got +1 on the New England side. I would probably just I like New England in this game. Probably just look at maybe the money line, just depending on the money line that I could get. I'd stay, I'd give up the +1 and just lay and just get a better money line if I could. -106 is the line that you could get over at FanDuel. So I kind of like that right here. I like New England in the game. I mean, I know people get caught up on having to travel to the West Coast and whatnot, but defense travels.
Two trips west. Got a little lucky in the last game. Defense kind of did it for them. Their offense still not looking very efficient, so to speak, right now. Lose the running backs. I think it's a big ask for the Patriots to do this on the road and get this win.
It is, but now you've got, so they're playing against Josh McDaniels.
Revenge narrative for McDaniels?
No, it's not revenge. I think you get
the Belichick revenge narrative. I
don't even think it's revenge. I think Belichick teaches them a lesson here and puts a hurting on it. The problem is the New England. I mean, if New England had any sort of offense,
that's what I'm saying. You can't rely on this offense.
No,
Devontae Parker's out. I don't even think that hurts the team. Devontae Parker being out probably brings up Kendrick Bourne, who's the better player anyway. I don't know why they don't play more of Bourne. He's not a better player.
Yeah, this is not a fantasy game. When you see mentioning Adams, I don't want to touch it either.
The running backs, and I don't want to spend too much time on this game. And the next game's even worse, but the running backs for New England are going to be interesting, but dangerous.
Yes.
So it's too early in the week. Well, it's Wednesday. I cannot predict.
I feel like we're going back to, without Stevenson, we go back to like the old Patriots of don't ever play the running backs,
what's funny is I started making lineups, because I do the first look on Sunday night, not Monday, before the Monday game. I started making, and I was like, "Ooh, Ramondre, every lineup." I was going to do 100%.
I would have loved it.
Exposure. Yeah, I was 100% Ramondre in the spot. I was like, "This is the best. You can't ask for a better situation." It was going to be the all-in play of the week, and now he might actually play. He could come back, but I don't know. I don't like it as much anymore because now they discovered other talents. And it's no longer going to be exclusively his backfield. Let's keep it moving here. This one's gross. I don't have there's no relevance DFS wise here other than the defenses, but Arizona's at Denver here. Arizona 3-point road underdogs in this one. Denver, I guess Russell Wilson will be okay and he'll probably start. I mean, he had that crazy lump on his head after taking that fall, but Arizona going to bring Colt McCoy for the rest of the season in the quit mode, so to speak. Denver defense really good. 36.5 point total. This total is disgusting. The only thing you could say from a defense point of view is I guess you could say, well, Jerry Jeudy is the only wide receiver for Denver, so maybe he'll get some work. It's a thin argument. Cardinals, I got nothing. I don't like this game one bit. John, you want to bet this one?
I don't want to. I think my lean would be here taking Denver minus the 2.5, which you can get at BetMGM right now, minus 115. 36.5 is the total. Yeah, you'd have to switch the book up on top.
No, this gives you. This is consensus. Not
that's
that.
Consensus. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think BetMGM there has go up to yeah. They got it at 2.5. So, and 36.5 is the total. I mean, which is just. I mean, that's like preseason numbers right here. It's Denver's offense. By the way, that says a lot about Kansas City's defense, about the amount of points that Denver was able to put up on them. Denver hasn't done that. I think that's the most points Denver scored all year. That was a
fluky game. You know what? You can't listen. I watched that game twice just to understand what the fuck was going on. And it was just fluky. You know, Mahomes throwing interceptions. They were getting a beating, and then they get the ball in a positive script, and they wouldn't have to do much to score like this. But yeah, Casey's defense bad. They can't rush the passer. That doesn't help. But that was very fluky. Uncharacteristic turnovers for Mahomes. I think they were just kind of like having fun out there and being silly.
I think the best unit on the field, though, is the Denver defense here in this game.
Definitely.
Clearly. The Denver defense is amazing.
I think Denver should dominate this game. They should dominate
they should
Arizona
totally dominate the game.
Score. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think you're right. Now that I see it at 2.5 and not 3, I like that a lot more than the 3. I would probably lean Denver as a bet at home here, assuming Russell Wilson comes back. If Russell Wilson doesn't come back, all bets are off. And not that he's good, but I don't know.
No, but exactly.
All bets are off.
I think without even saying it, you said it.
I love Denver defense in the spot as well.
So that's the only way. But as far as DFS, I mean, you just can't even. I can't even see what you'd want to take here.
Denver defense will be the chalk at 2,700. They will be the defense that you start your lineup with this week. And if you want to get crazy, you go away from it. But they are the defense you are starting your lineups with in week 15 on the main slate, no question. All right, let's keep moving. We're almost there, John. Titans at the Chargers. The vaunted Titans defense game. What do the Titans defense do? They lead opponents to Millie Maker takedowns. Chargers, Herbert, Mike Williams, the nuts stack. And by the way, guys who are watching this, let us know who you think the nuts stack is in DFS this week for the main slate. I really like this Herbert to Mike Williams approach. You probably got to stack him with 2, but Tennessee leading to championship glory for any opposing offensive pass catchers and quarterbacks that seem to face them. Titans are 2.5-point road underdogs here. And of course, on the flip side of this game, John, the Chargers are one of the worst teams in the league against the running back position. And, the Titans have a pretty good running back in Derrick Henry that can smash here. So take a look at some of these DVP numbers. Again, Titans allowing 5 points above mean expectation to opposing quarterbacks and 7.3 points above mean expectation to opposing wide receivers. Those numbers are huge. And the tight end position ain't bad either. And, hey, okay, Gerald Everett, fine by me. Then on the Chargers side, they're a very, very bad rush defense, allowing almost 4 points per game above mean expectation. They're also good against other position groups, which forces you to run against them. So I think this one is pretty clear-cut from a DFS perspective. Derrick Henry, good spot. Herbert, pass catchers, good spot. Titans pretty good against running backs. Maybe not the game for Austin Eckler exposure. What do you think?
I think you pretty much, from a DFS standpoint, you pretty much nailed everything. I think Eckler is the only question mark here because against the running back, as you showed, Tennessee is pretty strong. But is this one of those where he basically runs for 30 yards and then catches a touchdown and has 70 in receptions? But
he's 8.5K. Unless he's going to smash too much in both arenas, I don't care.
You're right. It's too much. Yeah. Too high a salary.
You need just, again, 8, 16, 24, 32, 34, 35-ish fantasy points.
Yeah, he's probably not getting that this week. Yeah. But I do like I do like Herbert here and the pass catching.
Yeah.
Now, let's just jump into the from the betting angle for a second. Again, now 2.5 you could get at BetMGM, but you're laying 120. I still like that on the Chargers. I like the Chargers here in this game. Tennessee is always a weird one to me. I can never figure Tennessee out. I just never think they're as good as their record is. So I always seem to be against the Titans. The Chargers last week defensively looked really solid last week.
They played.
They haven't. They have not.
Yeah.
But and against the Miami team, that the offense has been pretty strong. So
best game defensively of the season for them
by far. So we'll see if they can carry that over this week.
But
Tennessee's all about the running the ball.
Yeah, Chargers can't stop the run.
That's the thing.
It's a problem for them. They cannot stop the run. They can't tackle. They're missing tackles. They haven't been able to stop the run all season. Derrick Henry is a beast.
This could be a similar game though, where Henry goes off just like last week, and they can't stop the pass. And the Chargers, because I mean, you have to like the Chargers passing game in this one. Now, I like this game to actually go. I like the over, and I like the Chargers on this one. I don't think we have any. No, we didn't get any information on any sharp bets on this game. Although the money is coming in primarily on Tennessee. If you look at the handles inside of the app and the over. So
has it been moving the line though? Because I think what's going on here is you got that 2.5, and we're hanging around.
Well, that's it. It's not moving the line. The spread. I mean, the spread.
This will be -3 soon enough. Like if you want to play this and you don't mind paying a little. So let me ask you this, John, and this is just a better math situation, but obviously -2.5 is -120, -3 I can get -110. Do I want to pay the 10 cents?
Yeah, 10 cents is worth it. I should have this off the top of my head, but it's something like, you're like up to like 25 cents to buy. Like I think 25 cents. You should be paying like 21. Usually they charge you like 25 cents to buy onto that key number, and it should be like 21. So 10 cents is definitely within the range.
Do it. You can get it for 10 cents. I think it's too early in the week to really worry about where the sharp money is on this one. It's just the betting is just still too early to really get a whole lot of knowledge from it. One more player I wanted to mention in this game is, of course, Chig Okonkwo, who actually smashed for us last week, had a great game. And as long as Treylon Burks is out for the Titans, I mean, they don't have anybody to throw to. It's been Westbrook-Ikhine and Chig Okonkwo. So I'm going right back to them. I'm fine with Chig. I'll go right back to Chig, and I'll go right. I don't know about what Westbrook-Ikhine is interesting as a tournament play as well. Ike was in my. I think he was in that lineup that almost took the tournament down. He got a 10. If he would have popped off last week, it could have been something.
You could take. I mean, you could take Henry as your comeback on this one as well. I mean, it's expensive, but yeah.
Love Henry here. All right, last game on the main slate here. We got the Bengals at the Bucs, and this one has some sneaky upside. It's got a 44.5 point total, with the Bengals installed as 3.5 point road favorites, John. And I got to tell you something. I like the Bucs offense here a little bit. Coming off of that disgusting beatdown that we called and knew was coming, because that's what San Francisco is going to do to a team that's bad against good defensive teams, right? The Bengals are not really that. They've got good statistics. They've got good stats, but they're not like a team that gets to the quarterback. They're not a pressure the QB team at all. They're not a very, very good defensive team. And I think this is a little bit off for me. I like Cincinnati's offense as well. I really like this game. I think it's sneaky. A lot of upside here. I think the total is too low. I like the over 44 straight up. And I don't mind Brady and his offensive. Not Brady. Let's not go crazy. I'm not playing Brady. But I'm saying, like, Godwin, okay. Mike Evans, sure, why not? I'll take that. And one of my favorite plays on the entire slate is going to be Jamar Chase. I think T. Higgins is hurt. If he plays, he's gimpy. Tyler Boyd got knocked out of the game last week. If Jamar Chase is the only game in town on the Bengals offense, and of course, Michael Thomas or some other guy Mike Thomas or some other wide receivers will fill in. But you give me Jamar Chase in a game that I think will be more competitive than people believe, that will, I think, play to the over. And Jamar Chase is one of my favorites. I think he's locked in for probably 9 to 12 targets in this one. So I like the Bucs offense to be viable. I don't even mind messing with Rachaad White in this one. So everything about that Bucs offense, I think everything I didn't like about them last week on the road at the best defense, or one of the best defense in the league, I think that flips at home. I think they'll play competent football. What do you say?
From a betting standpoint, yeah, I don't like the side as much. It seems like you kind of like Tampa plus the 3.5 points at home.
I'm not making a play on it, but I think in general, my philosophy is a home underdog coming off the kind of game that they just lost. The sharp, like, it just philosophically, forget about like trying to think X's and O. Philosophically, we should be on the Bucs here.
Yeah, that's
coming
true.
Off the loss, kind of a game, the overreaction, all of that combines for we should be on the Bucs. Am I on the Bucs? I'm not decided yet. It's Wednesday, but we should be on the Bucs. I think we might be able to get 4.5, a little bit more.
I can't see it coming down. But if you like Tampa, I have no problem taking it here because I think I'd rather get the 3.5 than risk losing it to the 3. You know, the upside at 4 isn't nearly as much. So I would take 10, but I'm leaning more towards the over. I'm with you on this one. I kind of like this game to go over. The Cincinnati defense not nearly as strong as San Fran, as you said.
The model definitely likes Bucs here as well. It thinks this should be closer to a pick 'em.
Right. Yeah, and I was looking at that. Cincinnati -1 is what it likes, and we're seeing the total. The total has moved up, yet the money, I believe, most of the money's coming in on the under. And that total's gone up from 42.5 where it opened up to 44. That one I would grab now. I would take that over. I think we could even get a little bit higher on that total. So I would jump on 44 or right now on that one. So I agree with you there. I'm not as confident necessarily.
I'm putting the over in on the Sharp app, making an official play. So
go ahead. I like it.
I don't want to forget. So I'm going to put that in. I don't always look at the totals. And this one, like I said, I just think it's wrong. I think they're off.
I would just be, I'm not overly excited. These are one pieces, right? These are you can't really stack. I don't like this as a stacking game. Although you
don't need to stack it. You don't need to stack it because whenever there's one guy, Jamar Chase with Burrow, you might as well you can get all the upside.
Well, you could do that. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, exactly. But
and
you
Brady
can take
is unplayable.
Well, you're not taking Brady. No, there's no playing Brady at this point. The only way you're playing it is Burrow, Chase, although you could get some cheap options depending on whether or not Higgins and Boyd, right? So that could be because now you're looking at
like Michael Thomas. You start looking for whoever the backup is.
We'll see. You might get a cheap play there. But I like these probably more. I usually like a cheaper one. But am I going to put Chase out there in a lineup with one of these other stacks by himself? I don't know. I mean, at 8,300.
Think there are ways to get it done. I have made lineups this week, and like if you're playing like a Justin Fields and you don't really need
that's different. That's a good idea.
High end. So then Justin Fields is going to be a big part of your plans this week.
Right.
Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields are like the best guys. So and of course you're not using him in your Herbert lineup probably, but maybe you are because Herbert only stacks with Mike Williams, who's very cheap. Like the Herbert stacks are not very expensive either. This is an interesting week the way it sets up. But I don't mind, for example, Mike Evans. No one likes Mike Evans anymore. Okay, I'll take a shot. Godwin is priced in the high 6Ks. I think he's viable, although I like the low 6K number a little bit better. So that some of these pieces and Rachaad White, I think Rachaad White's in play. I wish if Fournette was officially injured, White would be an all in for me.
Yeah, this is the cheapest Evans has been this year.
Yeah, they flipped it. But my thought, and I kind of wrote this up in my notes already, was Evans has the same role he's kind of had for the last 3 years. Nothing's changing. It's every once in a while he's going to pop off. Last week you saw a penalty on a 60-yard touchdown. That could happen. If that 60-yard touchdown happens, he puts up 25 and it's a whole different ballgame.
He's getting the targets. He's just not getting the, he's just, it's not, there's no efficiency there.
Brady can't deliver under pressure.
No.
If Brady's not under pressure, he could deliver the football in a game. Now, Mike Evans has some gross drops this year as well. So it's been a bunch of things. It's been in the games where he's failing. Either Brady couldn't deliver or Brady delivered, but he's got some drops. And he's not a drops guy. He's just like shit. It's variance and it's not been his year and et cetera, et cetera. But or a penalty's called at a weird time like last week negates a 65-yarder, a penalty that was nowhere near that play. So actually, technically, that was holding very blatant. So didn't deserve the 65-yarder, but nonetheless, I saw it. So it should have happened. So there we go. All right. Let's wrap it up there, John. We're going to leave the island games for another show. That wraps up the main slate. Saturday, Sunday, you got some bets. You got some DFS plays, guys. If you like any of these games or any of your bets, who are your favorite bets for the week? Drop us a comment in the comments below. And of course, if you want to talk to John, myself, you want to get the bets, you can always download the Sharp app. Go to iOS store, go to Android, grab the Sharp app. From either one, you can track your games. You can compare odds. Of course, the new top props tool. We got everything going on. John's crushing top props. If you bet, you should be following that. The results speak for themselves. If you want to just track my plays, if you'd been tracking my bets here for the last 30 days, and it's better when you look at the longer, but if you've just been tracking my bets, it's like, hey, when Kevin puts one in, I just play it. You'd be up 19.38 units, 60% win rate. This is serious. This is real. These are tracked plays that we do every week in the Sharp app, and you can get a month free. Check it out. Pay nothing. Promo code ARMY gets you the first month free, so make sure you check that out. If you want to check out the Sharp app Discord, there's a link in the description below to join the Discord. It's free. You can join the conversation. There's free plays in there, and we really talk about the philosophy of sports betting, doing it responsibly, understanding unit sizes, not being silly. Don't be a degenerate. We're not about being degenerates over here. And of course, for DFS Army, if you want to check us out as well, our incredible suite of tools, you can get that over at DFS Army. Sign up as a VIP with promo code Geek, gets you 10% off. For John and myself, good luck in NFL Week 15. We will see you at the top of the leaderboards. Deuces.